Starting out for your project, you need a ruler, ideally an 18-inch ruler. You need to have your photo of whatever it is that you're drawing. You need to have a pencil and a 12 by 18 piece of drawing paper. So first thing, make sure that your photo is the correct size. Mine ended up being a little bit big, and so I don't screw up. I decide to trim mine down. So you can see this process here of just measuring it down to be a 4 by 6. If you can just deal with it as is, that's totally fine, but just make sure that you're only drawing 4 by 6. After you have your photo down to the correct size, you get to start gridding. So if you look, you just make a little tick mark every 1/2 inch over the entire top and then the bottom, and then you connect the dots. You'll then repeat this process along the short side, so then at the end, you should have 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch boxes. We continue setting up our project for this gridding process by creating the grid marks now on our final project. So we are going to be doing 3 times the size. So you should be doing now your tick marks instead of at 1/2 inch, it should be at 1.5 inches. So make sure you're going along the top, the bottom, connecting them, and then going along the short side, and then the other short side, and then connecting those. At the end, you should have 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch boxes. By outlining and focusing on values, it actually helps you focus on your project a little bit more and simplifying it so that you're not having to draw too much. You have to remember that this is all going to be painted, so you're just trying to figure out where those dark areas are, where the light areas are, maybe where just general highlights are, as well as the general shape potentially. But like if you look at my otter here, I'm not going to sit and draw all those whiskers because that's just an unnecessary thing that I can add in easily with paint. So just, you want to make sure that you're keeping that pretty simple. Once you have your photo gridded and you have your project paper gridded, then you are ready to start your project. Now remember that this is truly just to keep your work proportional. If you are good at drawing, great for you, but sometimes we don't all have that gift. So this is a great way to make sure that you are keeping everything accurate and keeping it so that your photo can look like your project. You're going to be able to make changes and have artistic liberties throughout this, but this is just to give you that guide so it makes your project a lot easier and simplified. So you'll be able to kind of keep watching on how I do this, but this is all I'm doing is following those red lines that I drew earlier, so I'm not focusing on all the details. I'm just drawing what those red lines are as a guide. Once you get comfortable with this gridding process, you'll find kind of different tricks of the trade in order to kind of speed up the process a little bit. The biggest thing is just making sure that you're not missing anything. Sometimes it's really easy if you're kind of skipping ahead or just trying to do it a full line like I am here. Sometimes it's really easy to do too much or do too little, and then your proportions do end up getting off regardless. So just make sure that you are being careful if you are choosing to do that process, and just really try and get everything to be as accurate as you can, because this is what lays that foundation to make your painting a lot easier. Now, once I have mine drawn in, I do like to go in and kind of add a little bit of shading just in some of those really dark areas. Sometimes it just helps kind of with the mental game of how your project should actually look like, but then also so I'm not putting highlights in the wrong areas. So just doing it lightly, it's just as a guide. Now, erasing the grid lines is just so that you don't have to paint so many layers to get those covered up. Sometimes you're lucky and the color that you choose covers them up really nicely, but sometimes it's remarkable at how much paint those pencil lines can show through. So by erasing really quickly, it doesn't even have to be completely or even neatly. It's just to help make your project a lot easier later on.